Good afternoon, everybody. Mike Naso here from the Tropical Update page on YouTube with the latest on a very active hurricane season 2017. We have three systems out there. We have a hurricane, Jose, still spinning out here. Could get close, right on the left side of your screen. Could get close to New England over the next 3 days or so, but probably will just miss Cape Cod, but it's still a little too early to say. We have Tropical Storm Lee, which is looking rather disorganized right now in the far eastern Atlantic. And the much bigger threat is a tropical depression, which will shortly become a new tropical storm. It'll be named Maria, and this is forecast to become a rather potent hurricane as it moves through the islands towards Puerto Rico and points west. Now, this was the track as of 11 a.m. when it was a potential tropical cyclone. It's then become a depression at 2 p.m. and it is going to become a tropical storm. I have the updated coordinates as of 2 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. It was at 11.9 north, 51.6 west. It was racing to the west at 20, 1,006 millibars. And the winds then were 35 miles per hour. No doubt they're going to be upped and it will become Tropical Storm Maria at 5 p.m. I do want to note we have a tropical storm watch for St. Lucia, Martinique, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Barbados, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, with the expectation that this will be a tropical storm becoming a hurricane by Monday night into Tuesday as it heads into the islands, and then by Wednesday and Thursday potential impacts to areas of, say, the northern islands, which were of course hit very hard by Hurricane Irma, as well as Puerto Rico and perhaps even Hispaniola. It is too early to say, but anywhere on the northern edge or the southern edge and in between should be getting ready now for a potential hurricane strike literally within 3 to 5 days. Now, here's the latest spaghetti model plots, and you can see they generally keep the system moving west-northwest, right through the northern islands, right over Puerto Rico, and then just to the north or over Hispaniola, and then they diverge. We have some models like the Canadian taking it as of 12Z into southeast Florida. Other models want to turn it out to sea. There's obviously a large spread as you go further out. Right now we're just going to focus pretty much up towards Puerto Rico and northern coast of Hispaniola where there is better agreement. But after that, it is certainly possible that we could see the Bahamas and perhaps the southeastern coast of the United States impacted by this system. It's still too far out, but we're going to watch it very carefully. There's the visible satellite imagery. Clearly you can see this thing is wrapping up a well-defined center right in there, and as the sun starts to set, we will begin to see potentially more intensification overnight. So this is already becoming a tropical storm, and then we will likely see this be a hurricane by the time it gets to the islands, which is not good news at all. There's the Canadian model that I mentioned. You can see as of 12Z, takes it right through the Caribbean up towards southeast Florida. The GFS model takes it as a much more powerful hurricane through the Turks and Caicos Islands towards the Bahamas, and does have rebuilding ridge heights to the north of it after Jose gets out. We'll talk about Jose in a second, which is an indicator that this thing might kind of get trapped and stuck behind, which would not be good news at all. The European model brings it over the areas of Puerto Rico and Hispaniola as a very powerful storm, and then starts to interact with Jose. Jose gets left behind, and there is some interaction there between the two towards the east coast. That looks rather interesting. We'll see if that holds. The European's a good model, but right now there are more indications that Jose is going to get up and out. Finally, you can see the H-Wharf model makes it an extremely dangerous Category 4 hurricane right as it strikes Puerto Rico and goes just north of Hispaniola. That would be a very devastating blow to areas of the islands of the Caribbean. You can see the upper level environment is fantastic over the top of it. It's got a little anticyclone aloft. That's why it has such good outflow and symmetry, that classic hurricane shape right over the top of it, and it should be able to hold that over the next couple of days, which is why it will intensify, and it is doing so at this point in time, which is bad news for the islands, because then if it gets stronger, you'll have to prepare and double down in case it's a stronger hurricane. You can see the water temperatures. There was a little bit of cool wake left over from Irma, but a moot point. The waters are still extremely hot, and the waters that Maria, or what will be Maria, will move over are going to be a lot warmer to the south of Puerto Rico that Irma did not tap into. So if anything, it's going to have very good real estate for intensification. Now we're still watching Hurricane Jose after all this time. It was at 28.8 north, 72.2 west as of 11. Winds were 80 miles per hour with higher gusts moving northwest at 982 millibars. You can see the forecast from the Hurricane Center. Hurricane Jose should move pretty much straight north, then north-northeast, and then turn by Wednesday and Thursday away from the east coast. But if you're in Cape Cod and areas of Rhode Island, be on the lookout because you are in the forecast cone. And that would be sometime between Tuesday night and Wednesday afternoon that you could have impacts. It was starting to look a little nerve-wracking, but some of the models have begun to agree that this thing's going to turn pretty hard right before it gets to Cape Cod, say around 40 to 41 north, say, latitude right there. So that would save Cape Cod from a direct hit. But again, some of the models still want to get it close. The no gaps takes it over Cape Cod, and the UK Met brings it pretty close to Cape Cod as well. So we're going to watch Jose very carefully, obviously, because it's still a hurricane. There he is. You can see the visible satellite imagery. Not all that great on the western side. You can see this wind shear here in contrast to our developing Maria to the south. Jose does have some areas of wind shear to the west, which is why that western side is kind of flat, and there's much better symmetry on the right side of the storm. However, it will eventually go up and around, and so it could strengthen some more. Further out, we have Tropical Storm Lee. Lee is a very weak storm, 40 miles an hour, it's at 12.5, 33.1, moving west at 11. It could get a little stronger before weakening and just dragging west over the next week, and based upon that satellite imagery, it's not going to be much of anything, at least not anytime soon. You can see the center exposed to the north, all the thunderstorms to the south, and not well defined at all. So once Jose moves up and out, and Lee continues to look rather ill-defined in the eastern Atlantic, all eyes will be on our developing tropical storm Maria here, approaching the Lesser Antilles. This will be Maria at 5 p.m. by the Hurricane Center by the time you see this update. And it could be a hurricane for the Caribbean and Puerto Rico. You guys need to begin to get the action done now to get ready for this potential dangerous tropical cyclone. I'm Mike Naso, and I'll talk to you guys next time.